Hi there, guys. It's Aileen, and I may have another spread for some of you guys that may be interesting. So the thing is, I've got these cards out here because that's what's left over of my spread that I did. The thing is, I had a rather nasty dream. So I was wondering, I put the comment to somebody's video out there also, whether they knew of any good spreads for, especially, for nightmares or bad dreams, or what that tells you, or, how to sort of get your hands into that and get it to open up and to obtain like a dream interpretation, if you like, using tarot cards. So it actually worked really well for me. So that's why I'm, going ahead and recording this. So you have to imagine, first of all, that this is two spreads, really. So what I did is I pulled a set of cards first, actually 5 cards, where this one, the 6 of Wands, was at the end here, and this one, the 3 of Pentacles, was in here. First thing I did is I shuffled, pulled my 5 cards because I needed 5 positions at that point. I will go into the details in a bit. Then I put them all back together, shuffled again, and did the second spread. But because the cards came back out, which is what I wanted to sort of go into the second level with the opportunity of having cards show up again. So that actually happened. That doesn't, of course, have to happen, but in this case, it actually did. So the thing about these 2 layers is that I first sat and thought about my dream. So I'm not going to go into any details about the dream because it was kind of weird and silly in many ways. However, without going into, any details of the story or what it was, I could kind of see that there were in total 5 different kinds of interactions going on, if you like. There was myself, there was 2 other females, there was 1 male, and there was a group of people. So I had to sit and think about my dream, like, take a step backward and look at how many people do I have here and which of them is important to me, or what's the relationship, what's going on, what type of action was foremost, or most important, and then decide on positions for the main actors in the little movie that was going on in my brain, if you know what I mean. So that's the first layer that I did, including then these 2, right? This one showing up at the end for the group of people, and the 3 of Pentacles here showing up to represent the actual male character in the dream in question. So when I had done that, so that's why I'm giving this to you, it's like a setup of 2 spreads, basically, to crack open what the dream was really about. And then after that, you first have these actors, and then you have your positions in here, which is like the meaty part of the spread, really. What is the shadow that the dream is showing me? 2 cards where they are about how can I see that shadow, which is a nighttime shadow because I dreamed it, right, during the daytime. In this case, I have 2 positions here because it was about me and my husband, basically. So the 1 female, the male, and okay, so there's the other females in the dream going on, right? So there was plenty of shadow, I can tell you that. So therefore, in this case, I will have 2 people that for whom this is relevant, or at least to me it's relevant that both of these are here, and either of these has to do with how the shadow actually shows up in our lives, in our normal daily routine lives, in our daily consciousness. And then there's another 2 positions that shows me like a power play going on between the two. So I'm setting up two positions here that show me which one of two, in this case, it can be about other people or more people. That just depends on how you're going to use this, right? In this case, it's two positions that show me the power interaction between the two. So that's a different set from this one, really. Actually, what it shows me here is that in the thing that I was in daily life, in the actual existence, I was having a hanged man moment right there, and he was having a King of Wands moment. In the power play situation, it's more like what is going on just a level deeper, right, for us. And then I am a Queen of Pentacles, and he is a Two of Swords. So those are really kind of at odds with each other. In a way, these are also at odds with each other. But this I notice, whereas this I don't necessarily until I think about it. The pentacle here is really important, because then in the last part of the spread, I go into my remedies situation, where, as it happened, because of the dream, I could see that there was something that I needed to remedy. There was something about this power play, something about this unconscious setup here that I needed to resolve, or to figure out how to ask for a resolve. That was basically what was going on here. The thing I need is the Ace of Pentacles. And how I go about getting my Ace of Pentacles is a Three of Pentacles again. So, which is this card in the Ghost Tarot, like how she's working. Actually, I don't really see this. This is not necessarily a shadowy part of the spread, of course, because it's about remedies. So this will be your straightforward Three of Pentacles, which I tend to see as a working together card, whereas the Eight of Pentacles is more of a working alone, regardless, and not needing support kind of a card. The Three of Pent, you need others. That's the difference. In this particular, that's how it works for me nowadays. So my whole, and his remedy, there's the last piece here, which is the last card, the last position, which is his remedy. Mine is twofold, again, because I need to know what I need and how to get it. Like, those are two things. For him, I just took out one card to represent what he needs in this kind of a thing, what his sort of a response to the whole type situation is, and I get a Two of Cups for him. So that's fairly self-evident. It's like it resolves itself. But the whole thing that came out in the end was that this whole dream business was not at all really about what the dream was about, like what the story was about. And that happens quite a bit. Also, to remember, when you are going to analyze your dream and crack it up into pieces like that, remember that quite often you yourself are all the parts in your dream. It's like a little theatrical play that you put up in your mind while you're asleep, so that you get to play all these different parts. They don't always necessarily feel like you. Some of them feel more like you than others. That's one way of breaking open a dream like that into different card positions eventually. So to me, the Three of Pent over here, this Four of Pent over here, which was another character in the dream, there was a very subservient character. This one was also kind of a subservient character. That's the Chariot. I felt it to be kind of interesting that you could see a chariot as having four wheels also. So these were like very parallel figures. They had a lot more to do in the movie than the Empress had, who was basically me standing by and watching, that kind of a thing. So it wasn't, that was what was going on. in the end of this analysis here, I get my pentacles all back, sorted out. And it turns out that the situation that we were in that caused me to have this dream, the Six of Wands here, which shows up as the cause for all the shadow business going on, it wasn't actually much at all like this card here, which is a fairly grim looking Six of Wands. Most of the times in the Rider-Waite interpretations, they're a bit more festive and looks a bit more like a celebration going on. What happened in my mind is I could see how this lot really represented that I had, and certainly I had, and my husband basically also had just seen too many people. Crowds and throngs and hordes of people. That was happening in my dream as well. At the end position here of the characters in my dream, there was that Six of Wands, and it came out here as the beginning. What happens to me when I see too many people is I go like this. First of all, I get like, after the fourth or the fifth or the sixth, I go like this. My husband goes like, he's at work, so he goes into complete work mode, and he's controlled, and even when that's not really the case, What happens to me is I lose vibrational touch with the world completely, because I get swept up into everybody's stories completely. Then I get these dreams, that type of dream. It happens, I think, quite a bit more often than I'm aware of. My need, or my power, if you like, position is really this Queen of Pentacles. That's what's supposed to happen. It's what's like my driving force in my life is my Queen of Pentacles. So it makes a lot of sense that I should get my grounding back on. And in order to do that, I have to talk to the other partner in crime in this whole thing, which is my husband, who is around all this time. But he's at work, so he's involved with these people, getting their things organized for them, getting stuff organized, their files organized, etc., answering their questions. But I can contribute and work with him together in this by looking at things from a slightly more, once removed kind of a perspective, where what happens in the end is we decide to only do client runs in this, that, and that particular order. So no visits in the middle of town, in the middle of the big madding crowd towards the end of the afternoon. You always have to do those in the morning or earlier during the day. You can still visit 8 or 10 clients, it's not a problem, as long as the last few clients are actually, out in the fields or in villages or towns where it's a lot more quiet. To us, and in terms of grounding, which is this huge big deal for me apparently, that I'm discovering, that's what it's all about. So it wasn't about the movie of the, all this stress that I was having, which came out, which is fine. It turns out that I have to pay a lot more attention to this guy in my life. And I knew that, and the cards just confirmed that for me. I'm hoping this makes some kind of sense for somebody out there. I will put the prompts, or it's like a sample, I don't know, a pattern of a set of spreads that you could use, that you can apply if you have a bad dream. How do you go to your cards? Instead of just randomly pulling a few cards, which may work just as well, I just went ahead and structured or organized everything a bit more. Also, because I want to use my little ghost tarot, because, I can sometimes see different functions of the cards coming out in the ghost tarot, rather than, especially the Empress here, had a real sense of sitting there and not being able to move that much, as it was, what it was like in my dream for it to be me, right? To be the I character. And all these cards, to break open the dream like that, it was really interesting. So this is my little booklet that I have, that I showed to you some of you guys earlier, and it has already a couple more notes Here's the Six of Wands here. So I put in for my shadow meanings for the cards, right? For the Six of Wands, I just put in a forced positive attitude and a superficial attitude. Too many people, a mass of impressions, too full, being too full in your head, and just generally overwhelming, you know, because of all those things. Something I would never have, you know, managed to connect to this card if it hadn't been for this law here. So I hope this makes sense. I hope you enjoy my my little venture into the dark territories, because I will be doing more of this, and I find it really useful and really helpful. I would not have been able to guess that this would be the outcome from just the dream, having the dream. I was rather miserable from having the dream. And now this is something I can actually do. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week. Okay? See you then. Bye-bye.